Manhood, brought to you by Jameson, natural sources since 1922, and Racetrack.
Thank you once again for joining us on Manhood. It's a conversation like no other. And the idea is always to reach everyone where they're at. And we always say we are a few men trying to reach all men, but we're not speaking
on behalf
of all men. And you'd think 10, 12 conversations in, I'd have got that by now. But we really are trying to speak on all topics, and the conversation never really ends. The episodes may end, manhood may end at some point, but the conversation will always continue. I'm delighted to have, once again, on the panel, resident behavior change consultant, Johanse Ayodike. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
A friend, Siobhan Metavere, artist, actor, I wouldn't know if singer comes into there, but maybe, trial and error.
Not professionally.
Voiceover, radio personality, and Javel Junior Lee Limo.
Yeah.
Comedian, actor, host, radio personality. The list goes on and on. So we
feel like Siobhan was a little bit more special.
It was a bit longer. Next time. I mean, it wasn't in your rider. It wasn't in your rider. All the things I had to say. So next time. So the conversation here today is certainly going to be a very energetic one, a very lively one. So I'm really looking forward to it. But at the end, we're trying to meet everyone where they're at, and the conversation, the topic is still a very serious one. And the topic today is: can women and men handle the truth? Can we actually handle the truth? And some of the topics that we're hoping to cover are feelings, sexual performance, compromise, among others. And there was one other big one inside of there, and I'm trying to buy some time to remember it.
But while
we're doing that, let's get into it. Let's get into it. So, can men or women really handle the truth? And let's start off with feelings. Like if you really say how you feel about a particular situation, or how you're not feeling about a particular situation, because you may start one way and things die off.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw something out first, right? I think that men could handle the truth more than women. Right? Let me tell you why. Because how we men mostly have to navigate the world is based on truth. So if you have no money, you have to face reality. You have no job, you have to face reality. If you want certain things, you have certain qualifications, things to face, etc., etc. If you are a woman of a certain caliber, you have to come good with certain things. You have to face the truth. But in some of my experiences with women tend to more want to live in a fantasy world, right? They want things the way they want it, even if it's not really like that. So, do I look good in this? You really want the person to say yes, right? But the truth may be you're not looking good in that. Mm-hmm. So if you say, so the woman know what she want the response to be. So if I say, nah, you ain't looking good. What? I ain't looking good? And start down the line. I say, but you ask me the truth, right? So I'll open it with that.
So, just based on that, it always reminds me, and I'm really sorry to everyone who's listening and viewing, that, when we talk about people handling reality, that, I mean, I'm not sure I buy into the whole that men can handle the truth more than women, because I know there are instances myself where, the truth hurts. But there was one meme that I saw that actually said, the woman said, can you just tell me exactly what you think for this entire day? And they went to go out, and she put on a dress, and she said, do you think I'm looking fat in this? And he went, no, you're fat making you look fat. Just say, if you really, Siobhan, if you really had to go to that level of where someone could be almost, if you knew both of you were clairvoyant, and you spoke what you had to say, and can women and men, in your opinion, really handle that raw truth?
With that particular example, I feel like you can still be truthful, but you don't have to be mean. So it's with anything in life, it's always the how.
That's how you say it.
Yes. And for this particular topic, when you like men or women, I want to say I feel like, against what Johansi said, I feel like men are more likely to not handle the truth as well as women. A couple instances in the case of, let's say, the easiest thing, relationships. Feelings, for example, if a woman comes to you and tells you how she feels about a situation, I feel like men generally go into their ego. So yes, I agree, we can be delusional and live in that fantasy world, but with men, I feel like they can also not be willing to face the truth, but from an ego perspective. If I am not happy with X, Y, Z, I feel like, and maybe it's how, men have been raised, like generally the average man or those that I've come across, whether it's friends, family, exes, who have not, they just don't have that emotional sensitivity as I would have had, or some of my female counterparts. So it just feels like anything it's almost as if it's demasculating? Is it demasculating? Emasculating in a sense, and you are just trying to be honest. So I have had that experience where I would have, again, with the how, but even in the how, they always got like defensive, and it just made me feel like, okay, I cannot be honest with this person.
Okay. Now, a rose by any other name is still a rose. So I agree with you that it's not what you say sometimes, it's how you say it. Mm-hmm. But if you tell your man, or man tells a woman, either way, I'm not on you anymore. So he says it in that way, which is a bit harsh. Mm. But however he dresses it up, or she dresses it up, and it comes down to the bottom line is, I don't want to be with you anymore. Mm. Whether it's, I've lost that love for you, I don't like how you make me feel, or I found someone else, does it really make it any easier? Or when someone says, you're sweet, or it's not you, it's me.
Yeah. I think most times, like if it reaches that point of like, I not on you anymore, it's because of a like suppression of emotions. Like you've been wanting to say it.
Correct.
And she probably said something to trigger, like, I not on you no more, girl. Like, leave me alone, like I done. You know what I mean? So like, I don't think I don't think humans on a whole, they just come out of the door with an aggressive or defensive tone. I think it's be a build-up of like, you have these thoughts running around your mind
like
probably for months. And it's just like, yo, I want to tell you, but again, I don't know how you react to what I'm going to say, and it just come out sometime, you know what I mean? So I don't think anybody does, well, let me not say anybody, yeah? I don't think most people...
Wake up one day and just not be on...
I'm not on this scale
and just say it like that now, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But then...
And majority of the time, sorry to cut you, majority of the time, like, when people do things poetic, especially like with a breakup or anything like that, I think there's still any person. Because if you have so much effort to be like, roses are red, violets are blue, but roses must die.
I don't want to be with you.
I don't want to be with you. I think it still have a level of...
You can still have care for the person.
Yeah, you still have that level of care. But for you to say, yo, I'm not on you, bro, that person done enough.
So the irony is that the fourth thing, remember I said we want to really present four things here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the irony is we spoke about feelings, I said sexual performance, and then compromise. And the fourth one was actually breakups, which all ties into feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because it's such a major one, and breakups can come in all shapes, forms, and sizes. Mm-hmm. And we speak about the fact that someone's breaking up can be connected also to someone's love language. Mm-hmm. And you're not wanting to say something instead of the snowball effect while it's happening, while we're rolling at that particular point. If you say certain things at that point, maybe you can diffuse it. In essence, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen. I mean, whether it happens now or happens 10 years from now, if it's destined to happen, it's going to happen. Yeah. But maybe the sharpness of it, maybe the residual feelings or the resentment may not be there, where people can possibly be friends, if they have a breakup. So the love language is, if you're feeling a particular way and you're saying, listen, this woman, like you mentioned about ego, because men are really a lot based on ego, you want to be touched in a certain way. More than women, driven by ego, right? That I would leave that for you to talk about, ego, because men are mostly about ego, and if it is that you're in a particular where you want your love language might be to be touched, and that's not happening for you, or you want to get a certain pleasure, and that's not happening. You might build it up like, okay, well, what's the bigger picture here? Or I could put that aside, or, I'm not going to bring that up now. Or sometimes I might step out in order to get it because I'm tired asking for it at home. And then it reaches to the point that, like you said, one day something happens and you just turn around and be like, gone from here now.
Yeah.
Well, I think the progressive aspect of it, because as Javel was saying and you were saying, it's not just you just come up with it. And I think truth should be, and I'll tie it in what Siobhan's saying in terms of respect. If every day you see something that you may not like or you disapprove of, you could say it because in that moment, let's say it's a small thing. And because it's a small thing, you don't have that much emotional charge.
Could and should.
Could and should, right? I using that because you could be triggered by something even outside the relationship. But if that one moment you're able to say, baby, honey, I don't like this, right? That's day one versus waiting until day 100 where is this build up. And that's where the truth is because, again, we could question whether men or women could handle truth better. But Siobhan, you were saying based on the person's upbringing also, right? How emotionally mature a man or a woman could be. And I mean, I'll come with that ego with men and women a little later, but I really think is in each moment, every day, to tell small truth, to be truthful, so it wouldn't build up, so it come out in that disrespectful manner.
But you don't think like telling small truths on a daily basis can actually make your partner feel like, you just have a problem on the whole with me because it's every day something? Like just say you say, man, but you don't like your girlfriend leaving a shoe by the door. Like, let's use that for example. And let's mention that today. Hey, babe, I really don't like when you leave that shoe by the door. Then tomorrow, you don't like when she put the key on the rack that a certain way. Hey, baby, the key on the rack? That is something about that. And they keep doing that for 100 days. Now, this person going to feel like, so it's every day something with me then. You have a problem with me then.
What is it you like about me?
Well, then what you're saying is two things. One is, in the first stages of any relationship, you have to do things like that.
Yeah.
Right? I remember the first year of marriage is really, I like this, I don't like this. I like this, I don't like this. This up and down until you find out.
Because you're building to live with someone.
Right. And let me say, even outside of marriage, boyfriend and girlfriend, or you're now getting to know each other, you would say the things you like, you would say the things you don't like. So then, what you're saying is, one, we should also balance that truth with positive things. Right? And that's what I'm hearing, and I like that. And then two, the reality of any relationship is, in the first stage, you really need to go through these things, Because maybe now we're thinking it's the first stages of a relationship, and maybe let's call it the honeymoon stage, but maybe the honeymoon stage is a facade. Because we really should be saying in those early stages, I really don't like this thing.
See, that's putting up with whatever.
Yeah.
Because you want to get through this visit.
I don't want to. I mean, this is as always. It's very good convo, but we're speaking a lot specifically about relationships.
Yeah.
But the context is men and women. So it could be your female friends, it could be your colleagues, it could be your sister, it could be your mother. But generally, can a man or woman handle the truth? I mean, and yes, because it's both genders, you want to ask, who can handle it probably better? And you answer presence by saying men can handle it better. I didn't get the feeling, Siobhan, that you fully agreed with that.
I don't fully agree. I think if we have to really get a more extensive answer, I would say it is subjective to the person, because I've seen both instances where women handle the truth better than men, or they didn't handle it better than men. But I guess for this conversation, if I had to go with the easiest answer, the quickest answer that comes to mind, I would say men, and that would have been based on what I have seen, what I've experienced. And I know you have some things to say about ego, male and female ego. So even if they're both the same size, I feel like men are more driven or would react with their ego than women. I feel like we kind of suppress that, or you know what I mean?
Does it, if we're talking about male and female egos here, are we saying that it depends on what is attacked? for example, if the male is being attacked based on his masculinity, or if we go back to the innate Neanderthal approach of men being the hunter and women being the nurturer, if you attack a man based on that aspect of it, like, you can't provide and you can't do this, whereas if you may say the same things to a woman, her reaction might be different because it's a different subject. But if I now attack her on your bad mother,
then
you might get a bigger reaction, like,
And
so
as Siobhan said, it's based on a person as well. It's based on your maturity level and the relationship you have with the person, whether it be your aunt, your sister, your cousin, or a partner. It's a certain things that men identify strongly with, like, as you said, providing. Like, I'm a young man and I identify strongly with providing. Like, if my mother ever say, like, because my mom live with me, like, if my mom just say, you don't have it, like, the bills, like,
You can't mind me, you can't take care of
that
me.
will rip me apart. And even when I'm in a relationship, like, I tend to, like, don't pay for that. Like, don't do that. Like, I have it. That's only because there are certain things where, like, you identify with. Like, as a man, I feel like I have to do that. That's just my role as a man. So if somebody attacks that, naturally, you'll respond and you'll feel like your ego is hurt. You're a journalist. If I come and I tell you like sports, I say, but Robert, you know about sports. You're not good. You gotta be like, I don't know about sports. I see sportsman.
I like the imitation too.
I see sportsman naturally.
or I might agree with you. I might say, hey.
Or you can be mature enough to be firm in yourself and just be like, cool. Like if somebody say, hey, Junior Lee, you're not funny on stage. Cool.
Because
like, I
you
make
know,
money doing it. Like, I good. Like, so
and
it's
this
cool.
is your area of expertise. You're not going to let somebody who doesn't know what you do and what it takes to be you and be in your position tell you. Anybody could say anything. It's how you let that, I guess, affect you.
So if I tell you you're not funny, right, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And opinions are like everybody has one. So I'm saying that.
But that's the same thing in relationships. Like your partner could have an opinion, and that don't necessarily mean that is the reality. Like I have an uncle. He's been married for years, and his wife told him something a day. Oh no, actually that wasn't my uncle. That's my father. His wife told him something a day, and like rather than arguing with her, he said he sat down. He let the day pass, and when he woke up in the morning, he said, "Hey, what you tell me last night? That is not me. Like you said that out of anger, and that is not who I am. So you're painting a picture of me in your brain that do exist." And like when they had a conversation, she said, "Yeah, I really just said those things out of anger. So you as a man and as a woman, you had to know like, all right, this person is angry, so they're talking out of anger here. So I just go in and allow you to speak out of anger. And like with my, should I say that? In my relationships, like
Though it's all confidential.
yes.
It's between four of us here.
So like in my relationship, like just recently I had an argument and I was beaming on the phone. But I didn't blow up because I've learned over the years, because I've been with the person a little bit. So I've learned I don't have to blow up. I don't have to I don't have to be like that. But I was calm. I was like, I don't appreciate this. And within me being calm, I said some things, but I said it calm. And she was like, you're saying those things because you're upset right now. And normally that would trigger me and this could turn into a big argument. But I'm not going to allow you to do that today. And a day after, I revisited what I was saying, and I was like, yeah, I was really just saying those things because I was upset. I was really upset because I already get my points across. But hey, I find you're not really bothered by what I'm saying. So let me amp it up a little bit with my words.
So what is the root? Is what you're really trying to get to. So that might have been a trigger.
Yeah.
But the root could have been the fact that you just don't like how she reacts or not reacts to a particular. We have to take a short break. A lot of good convo here.
Yep.
The topic: can men and women handle the truth? So thanks for staying with us for a very riveting and exciting conversation. One that can really bring about a culmination of most of the conversations that we've had. What can men and women handle the truth? And there's so many areas: feelings, compromise, breakups, which ties into feelings, and sexual performance. Sexual performance being a very, very big one. But before we went to the break, Javel was making a really good point about conversations that you have, and is in an argument, is what you're actually discussing or arguing about, is that actually what's wrong? I mean, it might be a small part of it, but sometimes what is the root cause, the deeper meaning behind someone leaving their socks there? Because if everything was perfect, would that really make a difference? It might be you feeling disrespected, you're feeling that, I just cleaned the place, you don't love me anymore, and it's all of these things, that snowball effect, because we might not be seeing these small truths. And as Johanse pointed out, even if you're giving these small truths, not only it's a matter of how you say it, but also the affirmations that you give along the way with that small truth that allows them to say, you know what, leaving the fridge door open, I understand why it might be a pet peeve. It's not something, whether it is a pet peeve or not, it's out of respect, like, is it really taking anything out of me to close the fridge door? Because actually it does waste energy. Am I doing this to be antagonistic? All of the, and why am I doing it to be antagonistic? Am I trying to also get attention?
Or is it just me?
Or is it just me? Correct. So when you do your own introspection, and some of the things I realize in an argument with anyone or any sort of heated discussion, when someone's at 80, you cannot be at even 30. There's the 80-20 rule. There's only 100%. So if you're at 80 and somebody's at 30, then there's clearly going to be an imbalance.
Yeah.
So if they're at 80, you need to be at 20 at the very most. And that comes with waiting. So when you're writing a letter, for example, or email at work, and you want to send it to somebody, and you have all this pent-up anger, and you're saying all of these different things. Sometimes, apart from grammatical errors, when you go back and you say, oh, wow, but it didn't punctuate this properly, you may realize that I don't want to send this anymore because you've come down. And looking at that and having that pause, being a bit pensive sometimes in your actions, taking a moment. My grandmother would always say, put your brain in gear before you put your mouth in motion. May help diffuse some of these things, but in diffusing it in an argument doesn't mean to suppress. You just choose your battle. You choose if it means enough to you, because you might realize these socks don't really mean a lot to me. But if it means enough to you that you realize, listen, this could start to degrade or pick away, or you're chiseling up, little bits at the relationship. And women, as you hear in relationships as well, in that suppression, reached a point that there's of no return. They've suppressed so long that by the time you realize, oh, this is happening, or that's what you meant, baby, done. In her mind, lock off, looking at that next man.
So I think women are really good observers. And I've come to the realization that people don't necessarily do things to be malicious. You leaving the socks where you're not supposed to leave it, leaving the fridge open, you're not doing it because you want
Not
to
always.
bad mind me.
Not always.
I mean, well, this is granted you like the person and you love the person you're being with.
I would hope so.
I would hope so, that
right?
you're not intentionally being malicious. But if I have communicated to you that I don't like when you leave the socks, or I don't like when you leave the refrigerator open, and you repeat it and it continues, that's when it becomes problematic to me, because I've expressed that I don't like this. So then why do you continue to do it when it's a simple thing? And I ask,
Not simple, but go ahead.
well, I feel like it's a simple enough of a habit that you could just break. So I had that conversation with
You could just
someone.
what?
Break?
Simple habit.
I see. Okay.
Go ahead now. Go ahead.
Of leaving. What's
A little
happening
awkward
right
pause
now?
there, but okay.
But so I had a conversation with someone where they were doing something repetitively, and I would have asked them multiple times, like, not to do it, and I just asked them casually, I was like, how come you don't, why do you do X, Y, Z? And they kind of just looked at me, and I'd be like, I would have expressed before that I don't like when you do X, Y, Z, and they said yes, they considered it, and they were very calm. Again, the approach. And it's like, no, I don't. It's like, is there a reason why you don't, or you do X, Y, Z? Like, if you tell me, I want to know why as well. Maybe there's something that I don't know. is behind your actions. And they were like, no, there really isn't any reason.
Nah. I see that there, I think that is the problem, because human behavior is thought into feeling into action. There's always a motivation behind. So if we cannot connect, the person, male or female, cannot connect with why, then there will be a problem, because then they can't explain it to you. Or therefore, even the behavior change cannot exist or cannot occur because they don't even connect to the reason why.
Okay, so you think that they don't know why at the root of it. They can't answer that themselves.
Yeah, so
the
therefore it
easiest
can't
thing,
change.
So the easiest thing for them to say is there is no reason, but there is. They
Always,
just don't know.
always have a
Okay.
reason.
A reason is not, that's just why it is do.
Nah.
No.
No, well,
Okay, I can
so,
accept that.
So, for example, when you say there's always a reason, let's get specific. So, if the action, because with you getting upset by it, you can also look at a different perspective and say, does it really bother me that much that I'm going to cause a big issue about it, right? But in terms of the action having a reason, so leaving a fridge door open, my reason behind, so there's not no reason why I leave it open, is because I'm telling myself, whether consciously or subconsciously, I'm just going there to get this glass and I'm going to come back and put it in there. So that's my reason. There's not a reason why I'm doing it to annoy her, even though she's mentioned it several times.
But then
But you're not doing it to annoy her, right?
But there's a reason why I'm leaving it open.
The reason why, as you said, because you're just going somewhere close to just get the glass to leave it open, right? Let me go back a little bit to what you all were saying. Emotions, you're saying, in terms of when you're angry, sometimes the emotions, you say things and you want to know why, and you explained you wanted to get a certain reaction or you wasn't getting a reaction. We human beings are so complex, Sometimes we don't understand how exactly complex we are. And if we go with a simple concept of thought into feeling into action. I listened to a lecture recently that says they were explaining exactly what emotions and feelings are. And one person said, and it resonated with me, is that we experience so much stimuli, right, that your brain sometimes cannot process it. And a feeling is your brain's summary of what's going on. So when you're happy, it's because so many things happen, your brain just says, okay, just get happy, sad, angry, etc., because I have so many things going on. And I sat and I thought about that, because even in a relationship, we talk about the socks. The socks means something from childhood and thing, and so many processes happening. And then me leaving it there means so many things. So in my one action, it have, let's say, 10 processes. And in your observation of the action, you have 10 processes. If we don't take the time to really connect with it, and that's why I was saying in the first stages of a relationship, why we should be just open about everything. This is why, and this is the reason why, to even connect with it so that we could understand each other better. Now, I don't know, I could put in a little bit of biology there and say, because of how men make up and how women make up, we could interpret these things differently, and how men process emotions and how women process emotions differently also. We spoke about that before. But I think it's a lot of understanding yourself first, right? Understanding your truth, knowing what is your truth. Because the fact is, I like to leave the fridge open, right? Because you have a logical reason. It mightn't be logical to someone else, but that make the most sense to you, because why I taking the energy to close the fridge and open it back?
Can I take that a bit extra further? Okay, you do that, but then you forget the fridge open. What if that is what happens in this scenario? That is what gets me upset. The fact that you do that, I understand the logic, but then you are the type of person, you're very forgetful, and then 10 minutes after, while you go on and eating your food, you say, shucks, I forget the fridge open. So much so that's the habit.
I have done that already.
So, right, but then I'm saying, so if you know that you'll give me a little chance.
No, meaning like I'm a leave it.
So if that is what happens more often than not, then why not go to the root of that, which is just close the fridge to begin with? If you know you're going to forget it, things are to defrost, then why not just close the door?
But I'm not doing it to annoy my partner. Even though I know it does annoy her, I'm not consciously doing. My reason behind leaving it open or even forgetting is not tied to annoying her. whether I like or not. No, I just want to touch on the fact when you mention if you love someone or you like someone, you wouldn't do certain things to aggravate them. That's not true. Because if I'm looking, as Javel pointed out with regards to what he really wanted, even in the argument, is to be recognized in specific ways. If I'm having, that bout of silent treatment argument, and I know, okay, you know what? There are some buttons I could touch here, right? I'm going to leave the fridge open. I'm going to leave the drawers on the ground. Yeah. You understand? Oh. I'm going to leave the tap leaking. My thing is, it's something to get a rise out of that person to get a reaction, which brings me to where I want the basis of the rest of this manhood to go. We talk about breakups and sexual performance, and I want to presence it. When men have breakups, and men and women, and we speak about men and men, women and women, just talk about the gender, and even that might be a touchy subject, right? For all intents and purposes, male and female. And we speak about, you always hear a woman, when she reaches to that point, can make the cutoff. She may cry for 6 months, a year, whatever the case may be. This is not a generalization. This is just based on some of the interactions that I have seen or heard or in research. Whereas a man tends to linger based on that ego, always thinking to himself, it's not really done. Or they could be attacked back, or she will be remembering how I handle the scene. All of these different things. And in that tying in, what you find that you see men do in certain environments is that they keep prodding. If they have a breakup, they will keep doing things, and instead of going to the woman and saying, okay, well, it's done, I move on, I loved you, all of these different things, you tend to do certain things that are antagonistic. So if it's you have children, you may do things to, and females, because I remember a story you gave me, where you do things to ensure the man doesn't get, the woman doesn't get some, whether it's money, or you tell her just really vile stuff, and you think that you're doing things to get a rise out of that person, and it's almost sick in a way that in trying to get the rise out of her in a negative way, you think somehow that's gonna bring her back to you, and I don't. You're looking at me I
don't get the logic too. Okay. But I've experienced something similar to that as well.
What is the logic behind that, Johansi? Why do we do something negative hoping for a positive?
Let me talk about ego then, right? Ego, and I'm open to interpretations here, right? Ego is something that always wants to be recognized and always wants things his or her way, right? Let me go with ego. No matter what the world is, I want things my way. I want people to see me. I want to always be the quote-unquote best. It's always about me. So, therefore, one, I'm premising because I don't think it's a male or female thing. It depends on a developmental, emotionally developmental stage. So we talk about getting the rile out of somebody. That is the ego, The ego wants a certain reaction from that person. So whether it is sex we're talking about, whether it is a breakup, an argument, I think this person should be reacting this way to whatever I doing. And if they're not, then I'll rise up the ante on it, or I will say worse things because I'm talking nice to the person and I really get any reaction. So you know what? Forget you thing, I leave on the socks just in case. And you know what? The ego feel good because the person now getting a reaction. So even though it mightn't be a positive reaction because your ego still feeling good, boy. Yeah. I get this person vexed. Yeah. Well, I get this person to react a certain way.
I get this person vexed. It's more like I get this person to understand where I'm coming from. Because sometimes...
Well, do they even understand with all that
Most times, no.
Most times, no. Mm-hmm. But because of the reaction, you can interpret it as they understand. Like,
the ego will chain you up to think that.
Because, all right, if you have a big issue with some issue with your boyfriend, right? And you tell him, hey, I find me really using this socks on the fridge thing. But you have an issue, you say, yo, I have an issue with this. And then I say, all right, word. But it's a big issue for you. This is a real huge issue for you. All right, word. That you're not going to accept that because you're going to think...
That is all?
That all, so you don't care how I feel then. And then it goes on to something else or something else. And let me just say the person leaving the fridge door open, that can be a reaction to something that you just do that they're not telling you about. So it's like, but you just do this, and I don't tell you nothing. So why are you telling me about why I just do this when I don't even?
But then how can I even address it if I'm unaware?
Because
What is good for the goose must be good for the gander.
Yeah.
Shiv, I think you want to mute that call. Somebody really trying to get your...
That's not me.
your hands phone.
Now your answer.
Stop being distracted.
Somebody really trying to get in on this conversation.
So like that's how I would interpret it. Now, like maybe your partner don't feel like they could talk to you, or they probably think, yo, you're gonna take this the wrong way if I tell you this. So it's better I not tell you that. So that is maybe why your answer would say men could probably accept the truth easier than women. It's a real men who just be in relationships and do say nothing about anything because they know, all right, my partner go and feel a type of way about me saying this. So it's better it not really affecting me that much. So
To keep the peace.
yeah, so cool, whatever.
So that in itself, we have to go to a break. And that in itself is another. I feel this one is going to go on a bit longer, as we've seen a couple others, because the topic is important. How you pointed out the need to have that ego fed, regardless, is still a win, whether it's a negative or a positive. And as you mentioned, with regards to how that's being perceived, could also bring about the other topic where people, they always say men don't communicate,
True.
and a lot of times is listen, I rather than hear that in my ears, rather just don't say anything. But you still, if you want if that's your love language and you want it, all that then happens is you go where you could get it, where you're not getting that in your ears.
Yeah.
Wait, let me hear the Andy.
Like quick story before we
real quick story, because you have to go to a break. And after your story, go to the break.
Yeah. Like as you're saying with ego and respect and stuff like that, right? Like I think I am a great provider. Like I think I will go up my way to provide, right? So it's on this one person I was with, and like I was running late for something, and like I didn't iron my clothes as yet, so I was like, you can just iron this real quick for me, because it was just lying on the bed now. I was like, yeah, iron this real quick for me, I was going to take a shower and I want to head out. And like the reaction was like, gosh. So I was like, yo, like you can iron something for me, and I asked you to be a housewife, and I just asking you to iron a shirt for me, like I just need this shit. And like a couple of days passed, and I was feeling like I was like, damn, like that's so weird now. Like I would iron something normal, and like when we had a conversation about it, she was like, when she was younger, like people used to always make her iron. And I used to make her feel a type of way. So it kind of ties back into the person upbringing with whatever they have going on.
You never know.
Yeah, and that's a story by Junior Lee, and we go into a break.
Welcome back to Manhood, folks. Thank you for joining us. I am Siobhan. Thanks for having me. Yes, I am the only female on Manhood, but we're having some good conversations, and I think they're very necessary. Can men and women handle the truth? So we get into the spicier side of things now.
Right.
I know earlier we mentioned, we like to hit people where it hurts sometimes if we feel like we're not being heard, right? And I feel like one of the major ones, I've never used it personally myself, but we've seen it and heard it time and time again, where when a woman really wants to hit a man where it hurts, no pun intended, you either go for the financials, like as them as a provider, or sexual prowess. Or so you'd be like, I live in here, or they say something, XYZ, die why small. You know what I mean? Because they know it will impact them in a way that will be like, well, wow. So I think that is another area where men also cannot handle the truth.
Wow. I mean, as important as Javel, you're
I think
hungry.
your stomach agrees.
I really didn't have breakfast this morning.
That's right.
We didn't have breakfast for the week.
Do you want to say something, Javel's stomach? Do you have something to say?
I have something on my stomach.
So, yeah, I think that's definitely an area where men get quite defensive. If I could just, I guess, give an experience. For me personally, I would have been with someone who didn't like me getting involved in the bedroom.
What do you mean?
In the act.
He know her do nothing.
He
Well, don't
didn't-
want to
he didn't want me to do anything to assist myself in the process, right?
Right.
So I remember that happening, and they were like, well, what are you doing? And I was just, you want to try something different, and
Siobhan, you could spell it out. This is manhood. We need to people want to be in parables right now.
They didn't want me to pleasure myself while we were pleasuring each other in the act, the
Not
this one. Just
but okay, and what did you take from that? Like, what would you understand as the reason?
In the moments, because things are happening, functioning is functioning, and then it just continues. Like, okay, fine. And then after we had the conversation, I'm like, well, what is the issue? I don't really see an issue in, but it made them feel emasculated. They literally said, the person, he said that to me. It made me feel emasculated, that I am not able to get you to that point of pleasure that you feel like you need to get involved.
No, is that because of the size, or was it that something that you could have said, hey, well, you could do this that will help me get off and get him involved, or is it that he felt conscious about the fact that you more an emotion, the ocean than the...
Well, for me, it's we had this conversation. For me, everybody want to talk about size, but size does matter. But to explain that, you can also be too big. You can also be too big. So for me, it's more about the emotion in the ocean, you know?
And he didn't have the emotion.
He had emotion in the ocean. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad sex. But I'm just saying, sometimes you want to try something
The size
different.
of ship was more like a pirogue.
Yeah.
So
only concentrating on the side.
You know what pirogue is?
what is
I don't know.
Can we focus?
I am trying to.
So let me tell you. So I've had both. Wait, a yacht?
You had a cruise ship?
I had a cruise ship, and I've also had
A pirogue?
where a pea or between the pirogue and the boat. Oh my god! But he had emotion in the ocean, and it was good. So it was better than the person who had the what was it? The cruise ship. What am I?
Why do this? Like
this is the...
That was it?
That was the freedom sign.
The cruise ship, right?
The free
oh my
parts
God.
of
This is going to be the thumbnail. I'm sure this is going to be the thumbnail.
It was all of that?
But you didn't know what to do with it. You didn't know what to do with it, so then what is the point? But, so I think it depends definitely on your ability to... But then that's the thing. So this person who had emotion in the ocean, I don't know if because it was smaller, they felt like...
They had to pay me work.
Yeah, and me getting involved was also saying, is it because my dick is smaller that I need to over... And I don't want her to do anything. So I never did anything up to that point. And from the time I did that, they were just like, no, don't ever. And that was a red flag for me because it made me feel uncomfortable. Yeah. Like, we are having such a... We're together, we're partners, we are having this intimate moment.
Spice it up.
Yeah, and you're making me feel uncomfortable to try new things with you, to do things with you. So I said, okay, I'm receptive, because again, it's a very delicate topic, right? So I'm like, I hear what you say, but I didn't see it that way.
So how long did it take before you won him?
I've never cheated on anybody.
But is that because of principles and morals, or is that simply because...
You see the stuff when you lie? You see the stuff when you lie? Since it's just not a malfunction. That's good. You see good?
Focus, guys. Focus.
It's always a topic that's always seems to be comedic, funny. People, sometimes, a lot of times, people are very uncomfortable with the conversation, but it's a very real conversation because that conversation, this topic that we're talking about here, leads to serious levels of violence. Violence between partners, violence with other people, violence of the man committing it to maybe another man who he may feel is like you said, if it becomes the horner man.
Yeah.
So the levels that it goes to takes it out of the bedroom and into an environment that needs to be understood. So let's take, for example, your pirogue guy, right, who might have been better motion in the ocean. Is it that he himself might be aware of, we see the detriment of things like porn that's having on relationships, etc., right? And what that's doing to people. And as a result, he's thinking, listen, I'm not mandingo, right? But that's his insecurity you're thinking, hey, let me just do what it takes in order for us to be part of this relationship.
Yeah.
The question then is, one, would it have been enough going forward for you? And if you can answer that honestly, at what point, because he's thinking it, do you think he can handle the truth? Like, would you tell him, hey, you know, you're better at this and we okay with doing this because you're small? Or I've had
small.
No, but we
Just say
talking
what's the smallest you have.
It was
But smallest don't mean small.
it was average sized. So, but I'm saying I would have had, right, that person was average size, and there was someone else who was bigger, but bigger doesn't mean better. I'm telling that to all the cameras, bigger doesn't mean better. And what we notice, I feel like men have that in their head that you need to have
Would
a big
you tell him the truth, regardless of whether it's size, whether it's
a big
4 months? Would you tell him the truth in terms of how you really feel in that moment? Like, hey, you know, you ain't
I think time and place. Oh God, we can't be in the act and then.
Not in the act, I'm talking.
But I would have. So the person who had the cruise ship, I would have, expressed to them that, because they asked me, am I the best that you've had? And I said no. And
man.
that was a very silent drive.
Man,
Listen, I want to come.
Yeah.
Hear this.
Do you think you ought?
Yes. Human behavior. Listen, there are so many little things we talk about. And because we don't talk about sex a lot, it have even more intricacies with that. And everybody different. Because, okay, we're talking about size big or small. But even a woman herself, her size different. So if a man big for one person, it could be medium size for the next one. If a man small, etc.
Kama Sutra.
So it have so many different dynamics. So that's why when we talking about coming back with the truth of it, right? The truth is, can men or women handle the truth? I think my conclusion is it's really not a man and woman thing. It's really a human thing, because in the moment, you should be able to tell somebody what is going on, whether it is in sex, whether it is in a relationship, whether it is even in a platonic relationship. Just to be able to tell a person, but to be able to tell that person what is really going on, you ought to know what is going on with you. You ought to know why, if a woman touching herself during it's doing something to me. The man who had the cruise ship, he probably know he have a cruise ship. So in his mind, every time it had to be, so that way even ask him, that is the best he ever had, right? So it's even understanding yourself, understanding the truth of yourself, that you can be able to stand up on it. Like Javel, what you're saying about, you know you're a good provider, right? And like we say, your market is, I could provide $10,000 in resources every month. No matter if somebody say, well, you're not a good provider, you know, I could provide that 10,000.
Yeah.
So you could stand up on your own. If you're a journalist, we talk about a journalist. If you know you're a good journalist, no matter what the person say, you could do it. Now, sex is a little different, because sex is something you're having with someone. So all these skills I may know with Susie, when I reach Mary might have a whole different thing. So you could be an expert with Susie, but you're not an expert with Mary. So to be able to listen to Mary, to hear something, I think that's the part about handling the truth.
And I was going to say, like, that man is a mad man. The man who had a problem with you doing your thing. Because, like, if you with somebody as a man or as a woman, like, you need to understand, like, yo, this person like this, or they don't like this. And you had to have that conversation, or like, I just know my dingo, but I just listen. Like, no, I know what will work for my partner. Unless if it's a one jam with somebody, then no, whatever happen, because it's a one jam. But like, if it's a partner, like, you'll have them kind of conversations, like Dan, you can't make my with your
Pirog.
with your pirog.
And
I tell myself.
And I
need to tell myself. And I can tell a girl, like, you don't really do it for me now. You have to do this to get me there. And
communicate. And
but most men don't really care. Like.
And just to put it out there.
Well, I guess if we go with men and women, the truth, I would say a lot of men just don't really care.
Yeah.
So therefore, I would say a lot of times men could handle the truth.
Yeah, men just want a job,
really but that person with the pirog, they also put they focused on their climaxing. You know, a lot of the time, me climaxing wasn't a priority. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't, well, you know. But then I was with a partner who, that was the main goal. You need to feel, as in me, I should go. I'm like, what? What do you mean? And I'm feeling like, you know, I've never felt this way where someone was so attentive. It's like, do you like when I do this? Or I realize you like this, so I'm gonna do this. Or not necessarily like we didn't sit down with notes or whatever, but it came up in conversation. Be like,
find what kind of action there.
Like, what?
Good.
You remember.
I can remember, man. I just wonder because we come into the end of this conversation, and it's a very intense one, and I want to bring it back to this show's title, Manhood, Better as Brothers. It's about coming together, community, to be able to reach men and young men where they're at. But there's also the other meaning to manhood. And that is where you get anyone, any man, regardless of whether he's strong, whether he's in whatever capacity, that's where you hit them where it's hardest. Mm-hmm. And men, I always remember, men also use that against other men to be able to say, hey, I handle a woman, even if one a man. In he want to make sure, like you said, asking you, is he the best that you have?
Yeah, but
because he I remember this joke where a man says to another man, hey, those women saying you're small like a Tic Tac, and he said that why your mother breath smells so good. You understand?
Yeah.
So again, is that a quick wit, but it is the attacks that we use, and it's always based on your genitalia. So,
but Robert, you gotta be self-aware as a person. Like, you need to be self-aware. Like, Dan, it's not no go. So if you tell me, yo, Junior, you have a small boy, yeah, good.
That's what you're born with.
Yeah, what am I do?
You are not insecure about it.
Yeah, but add something to it.
You're not funny. Okay, that's
Okay,
your
cool.
opinion.
You ought to know, and you and your partner would know, yo, yeah, like that.
Am I having sex with you still? So
I
then
see
how do
period-
you?
But
yeah.
women,
If I was a chef and I be making jokes, I see Pirog man.
Yeah.
Look, the Pirog man come to fish, let me fish. Like you wanna be so.
Yeah, I agree.
Bro,
I agree.
You gotta understand as well, right? Like, it going to have men who could real jam, it going to have women who could real, it have ladies who can do things chef wouldn't even dream about doing, and men, like women have that same, I sure women probably have that same thought as well. Like, it going and have women who can really get on bad, and your man probably had, like, I had partners in the past, like my girlfriend, she would have had partners in the past as well. So they probably did things that I probably wouldn't even think about doing. But I know I had women in the past who do some things that is like, yo,
Like what?
it's hardness out here. You understand? So like, and then it comes down to compromise in a relationship. Like, you're going on, it's like you make
compromise.
you can make a choice. Like, this man can real jam boy, but everything else is and now you have to make a choice. Do I care for sex that much? Where it's like, yo, yeah, I go stay with this person because he can real jam. But keep in mind, in a couple of years, this going to die down. Might die. Or you're going somebody who real loving, caring, but the sex kind of normal. Like, that's decisions you have to make as men and women. No?
Do you know my life? I don't
Yeah,
understand. Like,
it's as some men
speaking to me.
It's as some men who, most men want to jam every day. Like, most men don't mind jamming every day, but it rare meeting women that want to have sex every single day. So you have to make a choice. Like, do I want a woman who will give it to me every time, or do I want a woman that will give me peace? And that is a decision you have to make.
Or both.
I prefer peace.
Like,
I can-
can you have both?
I can pelt but I cannot pelt peace. Like, I need peace. Like, you know what I mean? I just have a lot going on.
Pelt peace today.
Yeah, I can't pelt peace at me. I just have plenty.
You could
going
get peace.
I could get peace.
They could get peace.
I can get peace every day.
Yeah.
I can jam
But you
to
mightn't feel at peace.
Yeah, like, all right, you feel good for however long the sex lasts, then you're driving home like, yo, right now, jam, this is real weird for me.
They're not unnecessarily a partner, but go ahead.
Yeah.
I want to present something. I just said that, Junior. We have, like I said, we have to wrap up, and we haven't even gotten the part of, we talk about size and all that, but can you finish the race in terms of you could be, or these songs like back in my day with Patra and Lady So and Tanya Stevens, thinking talking about 1 Minute Man, and people again, and I wanted to talk to this, Johansi, about the presence of porn. And what porn is doing to our society. But like I was telling you guys, I had a very deep conversation with a friend of mine, and part of what he said, and I want, and this is something to look at, and I want us to talk about in another conversation with Manhood. When he spoke about ejaculation, when someone feels that, listen, I want to be a player, or you're masturbating and you're doing these things, the presence of what you consume and what your body, your sperm, is the finest and the most powerful part of a man, right? Human nature. This is the ability to be able to procreate and create life. When you dispel of that, what you're doing, if it is your body is telling itself when it releases, hey, I am spreading my seed here. If you're giving your body that on a regular basis and that's happening, and it's not happening in the environment it's supposed to happen, or it's not actually doing the function it's supposed to do, as you start to get lazy, you're now telling yourself in many ways, like, hey, I'm a king, I could relax here. And your body, basically what you're doing is you start to weaken your body. Based on that, as opposed to putting your body in a certain element of survival mode, that when it comes to it and you actually are there to say, have that intercourse, that moment to procreate, you're at your most powerful. So you're actually doing yourself a disservice by just, to quote my good friend here, pelt as opposed to really to understand. There's a whole deeper meaning into that. But again, we don't have the time here today, but I really want to hear Johansi's take on the impact porn is having on our society now, and your final thoughts, if you can use it in there as well, to talk about why we simply can't handle the truth. Like if a woman really said, it's small, but I'm willing to do this. Why do we as a society place so much emphasis on sexual prowess?
Okay, one, Robert, I think we definitely need to have an entire episode on sex and sexuality. That's one. Two is...
That's next episode, actually.
Two is porn, not even sound scientific, porn is a real dread thing. It's a real dread thing because it actually creates a false reality of what human sexuality is. Human sexuality have no format. But a porn would have a format. Even if you have different categories of porn, there's still some kind of format, right? How I feel to have sex Monday could be different how I feel to have sex on Tuesday, right? What I feel to do Tuesday morning might be different from Tuesday evening. Sex and human behavior is such a dynamic thing. So porn puts you in a kind of category where you think this experience always have to be a certain way. And when you think that, now you could think, if it's not that way, then something wrong with me or something wrong with my partner. If in a certain episode you watch the woman or the man reacts a certain way, right? And it's not only a male thing now because many women watch porn also. And so if my man didn't react a certain way when I do certain thing, it could mean something wrong with me or something wrong with him. So I'm saying porn is a dread thing because I remember my own life, when watching porn and then coming to the realization of what sex is, I remember it was a stark difference. And it didn't make sense to me at first because I thought, well, you watch something and that's how it's supposed to be, and you watch enough of it and you hear enough people talk about it, then it's supposed to be this way. But it's really not. And it took a good while to even recondition my brain to remember everybody different. Every day different. I doing something different. So I even encouraging people who's watch porn. I can't tell you whether watching porn right or wrong for you, but understand that may not be the reality of how things are. And then now if we in this fantasy world, then now it brings up all these things. So now in a relationship, you're thinking, well, this person don't love me. This person not reacting this certain way. You're lying to me about something. You're horning me, etc., etc. And it bring up all these dynamics in a relationship that really have nothing to do with the relationship. So I'm saying, and then now we come with handling the truth. You handle the truth of what? The truth you create in your mind comes from something that's not even real. Right? So when now the person say, well, you're a minute man. Sometimes sex is a minute. If you understand what I'm saying, sometimes sex is 2 minutes, sometimes it could be
Chef,
an
you
hour.
agree? Sometimes sex is a minute.
Yes, unfortunately for me.
Right? So sometimes it is what it is. You and that person, you don't even know the different things you're like if you're not honest with each other. I could tell you that. So you like me to share stories. Sometimes I just want to be inside and just don't move.
Yeah.
I just want to soak.
You just want to feel it.
Soak,
You want to soak it. Yeah.
Right? It's just like a spa, just go in there and relax myself now. Right? But that is somebody else made me, nah, you matter what? You had to be thinking and you had to be wherever it is. So is really based on, can we handle the truth first? We have to discover the truth of ourselves. What it is you really like. If it's porn you're watching, you have to tell the person, well, I see this on porn or whatever, so the person know where you're coming from. If it is you talk with your girlfriends or wherever it is, I hear this is what I really want to really just say the truth about what it is you want.
You know, something that
Junior,
is,
I only say that because I want him to finish his closing thoughts, because what you're about to say, I want that to be your closing thoughts, as we have to, there comes a point that we have to, we have to disconnect.
stop doing that.
That's my thoughts. Is whether or not is based on. Let me go this. Can we handle the truth of ourselves first?
Yeah.
Before we start to study whether this person can handle it or not, sit down and really, this is what I want in sex. This is what I want in a relationship. This is what I want in a platonic relationship. Really be honest with yourself first. So now when the person even asks why does leave the fridge open, why does whatever it is, you already sit with yourself. So you can say, this is the reason why. So the person could understand you. Therefore, they can actually decide whether I really want to be with this person or don't want to be with this person.
Yeah. Makes sense. No, I was just going to add to something you're saying, like
let me close
something that I realized, like off a porn, I used to think like all women want a man that just lasts like an hour or so. And that is far from the truth. It's a woman who by 10 minutes done come off of me.
That is a long time though.
Yeah, like 5-10 minutes, like come off of me now, I good day. Good. So like that's something I learned, and that the big takeaway from that is everybody is different. You need to learn the people that you're with and learn yourself, most importantly, because as soon as you learn yourself, it's easier to tell people who you are, and they will know how to treat with you. Because if you don't know yourself, you're going to be in a lot of bacchanal, because you'll be figuring out yourself while trying to figure out somebody else. So until you figure out yourself, stay by yourself, belt arounds. And leave people alone.
No, really, you could actually learn yourself with somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
People
I
open
agree.
to the process, or you can learn yourself with each other. But if you know you can't handle it yet, then stay by yourself.
Stay by yourself.
I ain't add that last part. Stay by
I wanted
yourself.
to hear you that
You don't want to pelt your piece away.
So can men and women handle the truth? At this point, yes and no for both genders. It really just depends on you as a person and whatever. But I'm echoing what everyone else is saying, that you need to really understand yourself first and what is your truth before you expect to get the truth from your partner or your friends or your family or those closest to you, and also being able to be receptive to the truth as well. So you have to be able to be open to giving the truth and being open to receiving the truth.
Yeah.
Well said. So there it is, another conversation with manhood. Can men and women handle the truth? Feelings, compromise, breakups, sexual performance. Sexual performance being a root to a lot of why people behave the way they behave, whether it's spoken, whether the truth is spoken, and what they believe the truth is, what they believe someone else is thinking. You have to know yourself. You have to know yourself and live your truth. What is your truth? The opinions of others really don't matter as long as you're grounded in where you're coming from. Where opinions matter is when you're insecure or you have reservations about whether or not that is indeed your truth. And
That is the truth.
And that is the truth. when you start to look at that, it's because you're not grounded. So decide what you want. Decide what you want and let that be your truth. Can men or women handle the truth? I don't. I think there are areas where you can and you can't. I simply would want the truth. Whether I can handle it at that point or not, you know what? They say, you know,
just take it, yes.
I always remember this passage in the Bible that starts off with, "This too shall pass," and 6 o'clock in the morning will come, regardless of how you meet it. So let that be your truth.
Manhood, brought to you by Jameson, natural sources since 1922 and Racetrack.